Yes, people, it's myself, ENiGMA Dubz, and I'm back with another production breakdown video. My new single with Window Kid, which is called Playing Out, has absolutely popped off. I just want to say thank you before I go any further to everybody who's bought or streamed the track, all the people on TikTok using the sound, on Instagram, every single one of you, big up, because the track has been popping off. Massive big up to Window Kid. I've wanted to work with Window Kid for years now. He's such a good lyricist, he's hilarious, and he's a great guy. So it was a pleasure to work with him in the studio. Out to Crucast. Crucast are massive, so big up every single person there. And also out to Émilie Rachel on the vocals as well, who came into the studio session, wrote the chorus on the spot and absolutely smashed it. And also, it wouldn't be right to do a video regarding Window Kid with about a pint of something, so I've got a beer on the go. Get yourself comfortable. I'm going to break down the full track and let's get into it. Okay then, so here we have the full project in Logic. I still use Logic Pro. I love Logic Pro. I've used it for absolutely years. At the very bottom here, I've got the vocal, which is the final vocal parts after I'd finished mixing them all down and choosing the best takes. I will go into the projects that I did on the day in the studio, which was the recording project, just so you can have a bit more of insight. But for now, because they were in separate projects, I've just loaded the acapellas in. So I'm going to play the tune first so you can hear it, and then we'll dig into it.
About man. Sausage Shawnee, straight out the cardboard. Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. Mum said, what'd you do at the weekend? I said I spat random bars in random bars, and man them yard brought loads of drinks on Grandad's card. I know yeah, and Tank was hard, but Frank got barred for blasting half. But anyway, it's sunny on a Sunday, and what's cracking off? But it's not finishing there, I'm spitting it bare and sipping this beer. More time when I jump on a beat, this rhythm is rare, you're listening clear. What you're snorting's wank, I don't talk to Frank, I didn't listen in there. But do me a favour, pass me that empty bottle, I'm pissing in. Clash me, that's not the right move. Better go have a look on right move, right move. Yeah, I'm a tycoon, food's past out windows like dry-fruits, and bag of herbs for tea just like Thai foods. Not me, I buy booze, dark fruits. Yeah, that's what the boss sells. You do your thing, mine's not tell. I'm sick, yeah, that's me. Being sick on the FYP, I'm sick differently. And I make different P, I'm a different G. I was on Gordon's gin. You was on an awkward talking thing on your boring thing. I was ordering ching. Probably ordered four, I imagine.
Right then, so let's start off in usual fashion with the percussion. Now, this project isn't very complex, and one of the main reasons for that is I didn't want it to be too busy around the vocal. When I'm producing music for vocalists, obviously, especially in this regard, the vocal is the key at the front of the track. The percussion is there to drive the tune because it's a club tune still, and the B line and the bass is the main thing. Apart from that, there's not many synths in this tune, and the only synths in here are sample bass, which I've cut up from samples, which also gives it that garage flavour as well, because sometimes using VSTs, as much as it's cool, when you use samples and cut them, you get a raw edge to the tune as well, and I was really conscious of this when I made this tune. So let's dive into the percussion. So this is the percussion all together. Right, really simple. You got the kick drum, which is very punchy. Classic garage sounding kick, very thumpy, a nice bit of a pop. Let's have a look at the frequencies here. Very fat, around 80 hertz. Also some nice presence. here around 200 to 300 hertz as well. Quite dull in the mix, but it's there just for that punch. I didn't want a lot of noise. I didn't want any distortion on it. Didn't want it to be dirty at all. Right, we've got this loop here. I've clearly cut that there. I think the original loop got busy here and I wanted it to be quite stripped back. And then on top of it, we've got a very crisp and sharp snare, which is actually more of a clap. It's like a clap with a snare underneath it. And then an open hi-hat. Right, that is it. Now, another thing which I've done, which I do most of the time, is I run all the drums here through this bus down here. Now, on the bus, there's some EQ, which is just a slight lift in the top end. I've got OTT, which is turned down to 12%. And then I've got compression. Now, if I play the full drum group without any of that, first of all. Now, while I'm playing it, I'm going to turn it on and you'll immediately hear it comes to life straight away. Here we go. Now, that is the compressor doing that. What the compressor is doing, especially in the sort of mids and high mids and the tops, is it's really bringing it to life. Now, what I've got in Logic here is I've got some soft clip distortion going on overall. The threshold and the ratio is not extremely aggressive. I've got the attack very quick. But what that is doing is in between the transients, it's lifting everything up and giving some life. It's not affecting much else apart from the high end. Now, the other thing is the kick. I haven't got going through that group because I wanted it mainly to be in the liveliness, not the thump of the kick. The kick is being controlled by my master chain still, which is here. But the drum group, it's not being controlled in. So there we are. There's the percussion. Now, alongside the percussion, we've got all of the effects at the bottom here. The key effect in this tune is this vocal cut, which is giving it all the skip and all the bounce. Now, that is so prominent in this tune. If you check it out with the beats. So most of the effects are classic junglist kind of effects in this tune. You got this laser going off, which has got a wicked delay in the sample already. I haven't added anything to that whatsoever. That is raw. You've got this effect here. Now that effect there, if I go and open this up, is actually a sound effect of birds in a cave. And I'll play the raw sample. Sick sound effect. I love messing with sound effects, but I just wanted it to sit in the background, and it almost sounds like a little sonar or a laser going off with all these effects on it. So I've got the low cut on the EQ. I've got tremolo, which is giving it some shape, a 1/4, which is a quarter, so it's sucking in and out between the kicks. I've got the echo, or you could use delay, but I just like using echo in Logic. I can colour it. I feel like I've got better control over it. Reverb on it, it's very wet, a lot of wet signal. The dry down a little bit to bring the volume down. Reverb time of 2.95. And then at the very end, another low cut, because after all the effect processing, I could have just sent this to a bus and put it on the bus, but I've done it straight on the channel because I was working fast on this tune as well. And there it's there. Love that sound, absolutely love it. I love using bird sounds, to be honest. I use them quite a lot and pitch them down so they don't sound like birds. And then you've got this. If you listen to it on its own normally, take that chroma verb. And then it's just got the echo and the chroma verb. The one thing I like about chroma verb is it gives this kind of metallic digital sound to it, depending on which settings you put on it. But sometimes for effects and to make something sound real new school, I really like that on there as well. And then you've got that cheeky little bad man, which doesn't even say bad man. I've just cut it so it just says bad. Okay, so that is the effects. Now, the main synth sound in this tune, as I mentioned at the start, is actually a sample. It's like a chord sample. So this was a longer sample. I'm not sure, actually, if it'll let me open this up because I'd time stretched it. Yeah, this was a much longer, like, loop sample, which I got off Splice. And I just like this particular section. So I time stretch it to get it to run in time with the beat at 136. And then I've quite simply got it running. Let's have a check up here. Normal pitch here. And then here I've just pitched it down by -1. In Logic, you can just transpose very quickly at the top here, which I really like doing. So here, regular pitch. Here, -1. So that is pretty much everything besides the bass. Up here, another sample once again. But what's cool about this sample is when I was building the bass didn't actually start off sounding like this. The bass was very different over here. But then as I was starting to morph and change the sound design, it kind of had this kind of spooky, hollow sound. And when I found this synth here, it really popped off against the bass I was using. So right, let's dig into the bass. Most of the time I do this, I split my bass into sort of top, mid-range, and then a sub underneath. Now, first of all, the sub is just a very, very dead simple sine square wave in massive. No preset, it's just the regular open preset for massive, and then tweak the sound of it. However, you will hear straight away that it is very dirty and very distorted. Now, the main part of that is the bit crusher. So I've got this bit crusher running over here, and I really wanted that presence in the mix. Now, when you solo that bass, it sounds very intense, but when the beats go in as well, the actual bit crush distortion kind of lends itself as a texture layer in the beat. You can hear it opening up and then closing off, do you know what I mean? Whereas if you listen to the bass on its own, you can really hear it. And it's also, if I open massive up here, it's detuned. So in massive, you've got the pitch here, so you can bring it up by 1 semitone, 2 semitones, or then you can fine tune it. So by detuning it -0.14 and +0.19, if I bring that down to 0, just listen to it again first. Now, if I bring this down to 0, it will sound a lot more pure. Now, if I start to detune it more heavily, you'll really start to hear it. It almost sounds like a chorus effect. So as you can hear there, if you do it if you put a too heavy of a detune on it, you've almost got a clash of semitones going on, so it's just dissonant. Whereas I really wanted to just widen it up, and also that detuned effect is absolutely key when it comes to garage, speed garage, jungle, to create that proper wavy sort of like bass sound. So you've got the kick running. The kick is side chained here to not the kick, the sub. The sub is rolling and it's side chained to the kick. Not that one, this one. So you can hear it ducking here. And that's purely just to keep the mix nice and clean. The kick's coming through and then the bass is smacking you as well. So on top here is the main mid-range bass. That is naughty. That sound is so naughty. When you hear it layered with the sub as well, because I've purposely made the top layer really quite thin. If you look at the EQ at the very bottom, I've really cut everything out because that sub bass I've used is so thick and it's got the detune in the mid-range. I didn't need anything else from that from that mid-range layer. So let's open that up. These are some of the effects which I ended up turning off because I had it quite wet originally in the mix because I do like to use quite a bit of reverb on my sounds in tunes. However, with this track, it's just raw and it's just like, it's proper piercing because the snare's so crisp, the hi-hats and everything. I wanted everything to just be like sharp in the mix. So I turned off all these reverbs in massive. Now you'll notice at the top it says ENiGMA Bass Slaughter. Let me just have a sip of my beer. Cheers, everyone. Big up yourselves. You'll notice it says Slaughter. Now I did a tune years ago called Slaughterhouse, and I never released it. It is on my SoundCloud, so you can check it out. It's a proper nasty tune. The mix down is pretty nasty as well, and it's one of those tunes that I never released because I just thought, you know what, I don't know what to do with this. But the basses in it, I absolutely love the basses. So what I quite often do is I load up these basses as a starting point, and then I tweak them and make a new sound from them. Now this is called Additive, and then it's 6 here, and it's depending on where you put the wavetable. Go away, you. Depends on where you get this nice hum. And then the main thing as well, you've got on the filter too, you've got the band reject, and it's cutting out a lot of frequencies by using the cutoff and the bandwidth, and then the resonance. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to have a little play with this now so you can hear the difference in massive as I move through these different settings until I settled on the one I did. So that one sounds dope there as well. All of these different areas on the wavetable you can choose and tweak accordingly. Now that's the main bass sound there. Let's go back to this one as it was. In between you've got this harsher layer as well. So let's open that one up there. See the wavetable has changed to this VA pulse saw. Get back to that one. Which once again has still got the band reject. It's got all the same settings everywhere apart from the basically the shape of the wave. So it's a different wave shape and a different position on the wavetable. So there we go. That is the main bass. On the second drop, I had this dirty sort of square wave coming in between. And all that's doing is going from one octave and then down the octave. And what I've got on there is I've got the glide set on there. So for the portamento, the glide here is causing that sweep down to the next note when I drop the octave, and then when I come back up it sweeps back up, and then according to that time is how quickly it sort of sweeps down and catches it. And as you can see, that's just a square bass, absolutely classic for garage, detuned like the main sound and just like the sub as well. And then if I just solo the basses and that synth sample that I used, you'll hear how they complement each other, and they've both got that kind of spooky hollow sound. Wrong one. Love it. That's the birds. Here we go. Now the relationship between the synth sample and the bass, to get it to merge nicely, that's why I have got the echo and the chroma verb and the type of EQ that I've done. So when the synth comes in, it blends almost seamlessly into the bass. If I turn the processing off, it will still sound cool, but it does sound... Do you know what I mean? If I put the effects back on. So there we go. Now down at the bottom here, these are the final takes of the vocal.
Mum said, "What'd you do at the weekend?" I said I spat random bars in random bars and Mandem's yard. I brought loads of drinks on Grandad's card. And OEN Tank was hard, but Frank got barred for blasting half. But anyway, it's sunny on a Sunday, Mum. What's cracking off?
He's sick. He's absolutely sick, Window Kid. He's such a lyrical G. Big up yourself, mate. And then the female vocals here as well.
Play it out, play it out, play it out.
Now, as you can see, this is mixed. I've done various effects here with the stutter coming in. Now, what I'm going to do now, because it might, just so you can see the breakdowns of the vocal, if I load this up here, do I want to save it? Oh, I'm scared. I'm pressing no. I don't know what I've done there. I don't want to mess with it too much. So in this session here, these are the vocal takes. Now, initially, this was a very hectic project because there were lots of takes, but I've consolidated them and moved them onto the same channel. So it mainly consists of the main take here and then the ad-libs as well going on top. And as you can see, I've cut and moved them so they all sit really tight. Now on the vocal, the main thing is adding some hard compression to make sure the vocal's super tight. It does help that I've recorded this down at Tile Yard. I've got to say big up to Tile Yard. It's a fantastic studio suite down there. Top of the range microphones, brilliant room. So recording there for a start was already destining the vocal to sound great. It's got a noise gate on it and the EQ. Now the actual overall vocal channel here is where I've got some colouring on it as well. I don't use OTT too much. I bring it right down, but I've noticed, you know, in recent times that OTT is definitely giving a certain sound to modern mixdown techniques. You can get the desired effect with just EQ as well, but there's something about OTT. I know it gets a lot of stick when it's used heavily, but it gave the vocal a real sweetness, do you know what I mean? And a nice little bit of dirtiness in the high end, not the whole body of the vocal. But I'm going to play the raw vocal so you can hear it.
Mum said, "What'd you do at the weekend?" I said I spat random bars in random bars and Mandem's yard. I brought loads of drinks on Grandad's card. And OEN Tank was hard, but Frank got barred for blasting half. But anyway, it's sunny on a Sunday, Mum. What's cracking off?
It already sounds dope, do you know what I mean? And because it's Window Kid, it was nailed. It absolutely nailed it. So yeah, this is how the vocal session looked. And then the female vocals here out to Emily. The full female vocal initially...
Play it out and you can play it down. Play it out and you just do it now. You can play it right.
So that's a collection of takes which weren't all used, and the way that I ended up doing it in the final tune, it was more choppy, just to lend itself to the UKG vibe as well. Because with UK Garage, it's all about vocal chops, short, stabby, syncopated, offbeat and stuff like that. And then what I did further was I then created this mix project, and rather than bringing the vocals into the same project where I made the beat, I brought the beat in as an instrumental and brought the volume, and then I overall kind of mixed down the beat as a solid beat, because I like to do that when I'm working with vocals. Otherwise you've got a lot of moving parts to deal with, whereas if you're happy with the beat, I made sure the beat was good to go, brought it out as a WAV, I put it into the project, and then I was able to make these cuts to the beat as well, which are much easier to do rather than trying to do it with the individual layers. So for example here, just those little filters, the doubling up of the kick, filtering here as well. And with that, I've just automated it. So it's got the auto filter on there, and you'll see as the automation comes, the cutoff will move. And all of these tricks were done to give the vocal more character, and I've only done them selectively at the right points. Do you know what I mean? And then inside this project, you've got the vocals down here, a couple of sound effects. There's a bit where Window's talking about drive-throughs, so I added that in the background. Do you know what I mean? Have a listen.
Past that windows like drive-throughs and bag of herbs for tea just like Thai foods.
Just nice little subtle effects in there just to complement the vocal. I know Window loves little pull-outs and drop-outs in the beat as well. And then here's the vocal. After it had been fully mixed down, I've once again added it and processed it again. Once I got all the vocals in there, let me find where Emily's vocals are. Here we are. I cut the vocals up even more here, and this is where the stutters are.
Probably ordered 4, I imagine.
You'll hear those garagey. So all these little tricks that come in afterwards. Like I said at the start of this session, I didn't want the production of the beat to be too heavy, but in other ways I've gone in with the vocal processing. So there you have it, people. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this was insightful. Go and get playing out, people. Big up. Cheers.
Mum said, what you do at the weekend? I said I spat random bars in random bars and man them yard and brought loads of drinks on Grandad's card. And oh yeah, and Tank was hard, but Frank got barred for blasting half. But anyway, it's sunny on a Sunday, and what's cracking up?